All right, folks, what's good? We are back. We talked about it last episode. How we had these guests on a few weeks ago. We sat in Rick's bar. We had a good old time. Had some beers. We talked national championship. We talked their careers at Kansas. Well, turns out we screwed up the audio. We couldn't release it, and luckily, these two
Sorry,
had
Rick.
so much fun. These two had so much fun with us. They decided to come back. Round 2, we've got national champions Mitch Lightfoot and Chris Teahan. Boys, how's it going? Appreciate you coming back. You ready for round 2?
I'm stoked. I'm super ready. Sorry, Rick, with the audio, but no, we're ready to get it done.
Yeah, I'm ready. Thank you guys for having us and giving us a second chance. I know that first one was fun, so hopefully we can make this one just as good.
Yeah, it'll be good. So let's just start. I think it's kind of where we started last time, but talk about, you win the national championship. What has that been? Has that been like a month and a half now? I don't know if it seems forever ago, or it seems like 2 weeks ago. I don't really know, but either way, it's been a while. Just talk to me about how wild this almost 2 months has been since winning it all.
Well, I mean, I don't know. When you go out on top like that, there's not really like a transfer from. I mean, at least for me, I know Mitch is kind of doing his thing with workouts and stuff. There's not really a transfer from being a basketball player to not being a basketball player. You kind of just go right from being like, oh yeah, well, we just finished out on top, and I mean, this last month has been absolutely unreal. I've done absolutely nothing and just had a great time. So I don't know. It's been a great time. It still really hasn't settled in yet, and I don't know if it will until after I start my actual next chapter of life, like going into work or stuff. But it's been a great time.
If I set the over-under at, I don't know, 300 beers you've drank since winning the national title, would it be over or under?
We're putting the
Over.
house. We're taking out a mortgage. Put the house on the over.
Yeah,
The overs club.
I was about to say, yeah. There was a week or two there where I actually started not getting concerned, but I was like, dang,
concerned.
Dang,
I might have a problem.
From the buzzer sounds, Caleb Love misses the jump shot, to an immediate week after that, over under 300. That should be the bet.
Yeah, that'd probably be around the neighborhood.
Yeah,
I
like
didn't know where.
how quickly
my name. So
how quickly did the celebrating start right after that game?
Dude, we didn't even get back to the hotel till what do you think, Chris? 1:30 or 1:45?
Yeah, it was something like that. It was something late, but as soon as we got back, it was.
We had media for so what time did the game start?
9:30 our time. I think it was 8:30, or was it 8:30 Central or 8:30 Eastern?
It was like 8:15 Central, I think, somewhere around there.
So I remember us walking off the court like after one shining moment and all that stuff, and I was carrying the trophy off the court and looked at my phone, and it was 11:30, and we didn't get done with media till probably 1. And then didn't get back to we sat in the locker room for a while after media, for probably 30 minutes. Didn't get back to the hotel till 1:45. So once we got back to the hotel, it was really quick. We walked in, and we saw a bunch of people, and then went up to the rooms, changed, and we were out on the town, had ourselves a night. And
yeah, because all the old KU legends were in the locker room after the game, right?
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah. What was the scene like in the locker room after, with all the players, coaches, just everyone going crazy? I'm sure all the former players were super happy, but how crazy was the atmosphere in the locker room after?
It was just pure emotion. Everyone has their conversation. Everyone talks about the conversations they have, and I don't even think there was conversations going on. Everybody just looked each other in the eyes and just gave each other big hugs and had big smiles and stuff on, and was just pretty much that was it. When all the other players came in, it was just they walked from the room, dapped everyone up super aggressively, and then pretty much was let's go, and then bounced. I mean, it was just really everyone was super excited. They had nothing to put into words about it, so it was more of just sitting there and trying to let it settle. But I don't think anybody in that locker room, coaches, former players, managers, everybody else that's been along with us, really actually sat there and could put into words what was going on. It was just
almost shell shock. Everyone was no way, that just happened. What is going on? you work your whole careers for it, and like you play basketball. And this is like anybody that plays basketball. If you told them like, hey, you can win a national championship, I'm pretty sure every single one of them would be like, yeah, let's do that. Like that's my goal, and the ability for us to do that's pretty insane. And I know, speaking from a personal perspective, like this whole like the whole Final Four, like I know I've been to two of them. Chris and I have been to two of them, but like it's so unreal. Like being able to be a part of that is unreal. Like there's just so much energy around it, and like you really get to see the best parts of college athletics and college sports in one weekend. So
Yeah,
it's super special.
Yeah. Well, okay. I want to get going. We'll stop talking about all the celebration, I guess, as badly as I want to hear more stories about Teahan just deleting beers. But Chris, you told us a story last time that I thought was pretty cool, and I want you to retell it. Tell me about like the night you guys were watching Villanova play Houston. You and Mitch, roommates, you're sitting in the hotel room, and you had like I don't know, you had like what's the word, epiphany or something?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, you gotta tell that story again, because I thought it was awesome.
So, I mean, like my family, we all talk. My brothers have always obviously been through it before, and so my oldest brother Kyle kind of talked about it and was like, dude, like there's just a feeling like I had or whatever. And I was like, hey, just like stop talking, like don't tell the rest of the story or whatever. But then, so yeah, we're waiting in the Elite Eight, or waiting to play the Elite Eight against Miami. And the night before, I don't know if we just got done with dinner or whatever. We're watching Houston play Villanova. We're not looking past the Miami game, but we're just like watching our potential matchup, just kind of watching the games. And I watched Villanova go on that little run there at the end. I don't know if it was from like the 4-minute mark to the 2-minute mark or whatever, but they kind of made themselves like the momentum came their way. They're up 8. And I just sat up in bed and just said, like, Mitch. He was like, what? I was like, Mitch, dude. He was like, what are you talking about? And I was like, hey, it's written. It's like, we're going to go out there. We're going to get our revenge for what Villanova did to us our freshman year. And we're going to go out there and whoop them in the first 15 minutes, crush their souls. Then we're going to go on to win the national championship. I don't care who we're playing after that. Like, it's written. Like, it's straight up written. And we beat Miami or whatever. And we looked at each other. And, like, the whole rest of the whole tournament, we would just look at each other if something would happen and just, like, look at our hands and be like – and look at each other. Like, yeah. Because no one else knew it. We didn't tell anybody else about that moment. It was just between us. Like, you look to the eyes, like, yeah, it's written. We know what's going.
That's risky behavior, because if you come out and you say that, you know, everyone's getting you like, whoa, jinx. Like, you can't jinx things like that. So
Yeah.
I'm glad you guys kept it to yourself. But like, Mitch, were you all in on that? Did you have any doubts? Were you telling him to like chill out?
No, I was telling him it was perfect. It was like almost poetic. Like Villanova got us in 2018, and they ran us out of the gym, and that one kind of left a bad taste. And then we had the ability to go back, and we were watching that Houston Villanova game, not overlooking Miami at all, but watching that Houston Villanova game. Like, how cool would it be for us to have the opportunity to avenge that team and send ourselves to play in a national championship game? So it was cool to be able to actually do that, and it's fun to talk about it, but to do it. And then once we took care of business against Villanova, it was like, dude, like, you're playing a national championship game. Like, this is insane. It's only one. You are 40 minutes away from a national championship. Then you get the rah speeches from the coaches, and you get to hear from like legends, Paul Pierce, Danny Manning, guys like that. It's super special. I think the most special moment for me was we were sitting there the night before the national championship game. Coach Danny Manning was there. He was talking to us, and he sat us all down and was like, gave us that whole Monday night in April speech.
Unreal. One of the all-time videos.
Oh, it was even here in person. Like, it was crazy.
Yeah.
Him giving us that speech. It was like, okay, which brick wall do you want me to run through and when and where? I'll do it.
Yeah.
Like, so cool.
Dude.
And like, I think all the guys on the team, like, you look around and everybody's like, all right, let's do it. Like, this is it. This is what we came here for. Let's go take it. And we did.
And everyone was like antsy. Like, it was maybe the only time I've seen people, because it wasn't before a game, so no one was really locked in, so they let the emotions get people were sitting there on their toes, like shaking their legs, like kind of shaking their heads, being like, let's go.
Yeah, I mean, how slow how slow did that day go Monday?
Oh my God.
Took forever. I couldn't
Yeah.
at all. I was just sitting there like staring at the ceiling for like hours. Could not do it.
And we deleted our social media, and they told us not to turn the TV on. So we didn't have the TV on or anything. Like, I think we just sat there and like pretty much were just on Netflix and stuff like that the whole day, just like doing something like that had nothing to do with anything. Just like trying to literally sit there and make our brains not think.
Yeah.
You guys have touched on this before, but could you guys like feel the difference between the 18 Final Four and the 2022 Final Four, like when you got there?
Yeah, I would say like in 2018, like when we beat Duke, that kind of felt like our key win, and everyone was happy. Like, hey, we're going to Final Four. This is amazing. And don't get me wrong, that team was great, and that was an amazing accomplishment for us. But this year, it felt different. Getting that win against Miami and sending us to a Final Four, where we had the opportunity to avenge ourselves against Villanova. Kind of had the feeling that our team was like ready to take that next step and really take it home for Jayhawk Nation and for the coaches and ourselves.
Yeah, and I'll piggyback off of that and just be like, when getting off the plane in San Antonio the first year was a lot different than getting off the plane in New Orleans. I feel like everyone was there and was super excited. Like when we got to San Antonio, super excited, like looking around, like, oh my God, they're treating us so cool and all that kind of stuff. When we got to New Orleans, like everyone walked off the plane and was just like, let's get on the bus.
Business trip.
Yeah, hey, remember they had the national championship trophy sitting in the back of that car. Remember that?
Yeah, they had the national championship trophy sitting in the back of the car, and like we're all looking at it, but we're just kind of like waiting there and being like, okay, when are the cameras going to like allow us to go back in the bus? And they were like, do you guys want to take a picture? We're like, let's all take a team picture with the national thing. And I don't know, it probably was Ochai and whoever, but they were like, no, we'll take one on Monday night. And we all just like left and got on the bus.
I mean, just the teams that were at the Final Four were wild. Like you got Blue Bloods, and then you got Nova, they won 2 out of 3 recently. Like, did you guys kind of like being an afterthought almost, just because Coach K's last year and they're talking about UNC Duke? Like, did the team talk about that and like just say how you guys were kind of under the radar? Or
I mean, a little bit. I think we all understood that, hey, like UNC Duke is going to be a massive game. And everyone's gonna be tuned into that. Like it's almost perfect for us. No pressure on us. Go out there, take care of business. I mean, that game meant a lot to us. I mean, obviously, but I think it wasn't as it wasn't as hyped up as the UNC Duke game, and that allowed us to really take some of that pressure off and go handle our business like any other game. So I would almost prefer it that way. I think I can speak for most of the guys on our team that, hey, we prefer it that way, and then be able to go out there and handle your business in the Final Four. Like, not a lot of times you can have a Final Four where one game is so much more hyped up than another.
Especially when you're Kansas. Like, it's pretty rare for Kansas to be the forgotten team. So
think about it. Like, think about if Arkansas beats Duke.
Yeah.
Then the Kansas Villanova game is the marquee game of the Final Four.
Yeah, it is the game.
Yeah, it's a rematch from 18 and 16, things like that.
And then the entire what's it called is flipped, and everyone's focused on us. And then that game, and our game is so much more hyped up. So I think we all preferred it this way, and it worked out for us.
Yep. Okay, so we'll get back to a little Final Four talk later. I want to talk more about North Carolina game, all that stuff. But I want to jump back in time a little bit, back to just the regular season. Obviously, it was a pretty eventful season. Like, I think, you play Missouri, you play K-State, you have the big comeback against K-State. I mean, you hang 100 on both of them. I want to talk about that Missouri game. Like, did that at all factor into you guys? I mean, I'm sure there were a lot of factors, but, like, did that at all factor into you guys deciding to use your extra year and come back again? And I guess, Teahan, I'll start with you. Is that the best your favorite 3 you've ever made in your entire career?
Okay, so I'll answer the first one first, and I'll go back to the
To
three
break 100.
questions. But so I never, honestly, when I made my decision to come back, I didn't really think about it. And then I think halfway through the summer, I don't
Dude,
know.
I had to beg you to come back. Come on.
Yeah, I did not want to come back. I did not. I was done with it. Last year was rough, not just because we weren't the greatest, but just like dealing with all the COVID stuff. Like you don't have a college experience, and I was like, if I'm just gonna sit here cooped up in a room, I'd rather not. But yeah, so Mitch pretty much convinced me to come back, and then I had a conversation with Coach Self, and he added some things where I was like, yeah, I definitely want to come back. I didn't think about the Mizzou game really, and as the season started and Coach started talking about that, because besides the Champions Classic, which is every year, that was our first real like big game, and so like the months leading up to it, I could not stop thinking about it, and all I said was like, I want to hit a three there so bad. I want to hit a three so bad in that game, and I did. Yeah, it was by far my favorite three I've hit. I've told people this before. Like I would give away all the threes I ever hit in my whole entire Kansas career to hit that one again, and it go exactly the way it went. That was probably if the national championship didn't happen, that was up there with the peak of my life probably.
It was perfect. It was just so perfect. Mitch, what about you?
No, I'm a little different. I think it definitely factored into me wanting to come back. I mean, obviously, last year or the year before last with COVID and everything, it kind of took away from the experience of everything and didn't really feel like how college basketball should feel. I mean, you get everybody on campus, but you can't do anything, and it's really hard to have 16,300 in the field house, and that's what makes it so special. So I wanted to come back and have a normal year, and I was able to talk Chris into it. So you get your best friend to come back, and you get to come back to your 6th year of college. It was super special, and I think people like don't think about that. Like, hey, like my best friend's back with me, and like we get to do college another year. Like, that's pretty dope. But it was it obviously paid off.
Yeah.
Does KU win a natty if Chris Teahan doesn't come back last year?
Yeah,
dude, he makes the
they do.
don't let him play it down. Chris
Red Rockets
on the scout team would hit at least 6 threes of practice on us on the first team, 100%. Like every time he got the ball and like you weren't there within like a foot of him, it was going in. Like ask any guy on our team who's gonna make the shot, and we're gonna have to run for it.
Who's your favorite guy to ever be? You know how you got to be a different player from another team you're playing. Who was the guy you were like, this is amazing?
I think I told you guys this last time, but Fletcher McGee from Wofford. I don't know he didn't play very well in the game that we played. He was like 1 for 12. They almost knocked off Kentucky in the tournament, but they literally told me like, hey, if you think you can get the ball off, like shoot it. So I mean, my brain.
No, you got one. It went up the side of the backboard.
Oh no, trust me. I'm hitting him off I'm hitting him everywhere. I'm not getting close.
Fire.
Don't off of screens, like off of 1 foot, shooting fadeaways. I'm catching it with my back to half court, turning around, firing them. And that day, I think I shot like probably 35 threes in a 25-minute little half court scrimmage. And that was that's a dream come true for me. Like I love shooting bombs. And having a green light in the Kansas thing, like I'm just sprinting around having a good time, pretty much laughing. If I make one, I'm not getting in trouble. They're getting in trouble. I'm just sitting there.
Coach Self doesn't care if it goes in. If he even gets a look at it, Coach Self is gonna freak out. And,
And then if I make it, it's going twice. Going twice as bad.
My God, softest team he's ever coached.
Yeah, every year. I want to talk about the Mizzou game a little more because it's like you got DeJuan from Columbia, CB being a psycho the whole game. His brother went there. Obviously, Chris, your brother played against them. Mitch, you grew up a KU fan, so you know all about the rivalry. Bill was a part of it. Bill, I feel like kind of downplayed it, didn't really act like he cared. But how motivated were you guys before that game? And I guess what was the locker room like? Was it obviously different than other regular season games?
Oh, for sure. I think that game is you heard from even guys that had played in the past about how important that is. And Chris and I think we know the tradition. We know the rivalry better than most. So I think some of the other guys, Christian knows it really well. Oach has been around. He knows it well. So you think about it, there's a majority of the guys that have a good understanding of the hatred between the two schools. So I think us being able to tell our teammates, but hey, we don't play around. We don't play around about this. We don't like we don't like Mizzou. We don't like K-State. Guys that know our rivalries, we're here to tell the others, and we took it seriously. I mean, even DeJuan, the guy
100 points.
You got a guy DeJuan from there, and he proves he's a national point guard. So give him his respect, and he was able to go out there and play some good ball and get us that win.
I don't know. KU fans will tell you he's not a national championship type point guard, though.
Hey, dude.
That was
okay.
Yeah, that was the struggle for me all year, was listening to the DeJuan Harris hate. I'll just put it out there. Yeah, that was my.
I love it.
I would have so many tweets like just teed up, ready to send them.
Yeah.
Can we talk about how CB went and pulled up old tweets last night? What did you think about that? Do you have that? Is that in the plans for either of you?
Oh, I didn't save anything because I mean anything about me is just like he doesn't play or whatever, so I really don't care. But I want like the Juan tweets, the Remy tweets, and I mean obviously CB found a couple in there, but like the Juan and Remy tweets were the two that I was like sitting there on my Twitter account being like, okay, dude, like I don't even know if I should fire these off, but they ticked me off. And CB's thing last night, I read a couple of them. I read all of them. Hilarious.
Dude,
Hilarious.
Twitter for Android was so funny, just so sneaky mean to just be like, dude, I'm just gonna call you out for having an Android and that's it. Like that was so perfectly played by CB.
Is CB an elite shit talker?
Top tier.
The thing with him is like
he's always chirping too.
It's
in
like
games, no matter what.
You don't even have to do anything to him, and he's gonna like. It's not like he's gonna say anything like personal, but he's just gonna make you feel bad. Like
Yeah.
He's just gonna feel like a bad player, a bad person. Like he just goes.
The look of disrespect that comes from CB's eyes, like actually penetrates your soul. Like when you say something to him and he gives you that look back, like you're just like, oh yeah, like I am just, I'm not him.
I'm not him. So this is a little bit on the Twitter talk because obviously we got to talk about one bad game, which was Kentucky. And I mean, you want to see a fan base melt down. It was after that game. And I mean, you mentioned DeJuan and Remy tweets, Chris, but the slander Dave received over his time at Kansas, which listen, we all know Dave was up and down at times. Like sometimes I was stunned at the things he could do at 1 second and the other looked like a completely different player. But either way, he got slandered for years. What are you guys like? I know you obviously, Chris, you said you were kind of reading that stuff and you had to stay off. But like after a game like Kentucky where everyone's saying not athletic enough, don't have a big man that's good enough. Like, are you guys talking about that internally at all? Or do you guys just kind of go home, do your thing? You don't really bring that up? Or are you talking like, look how insane our fan base is being right now. Everyone needs to chill.
I mean, I'll say it because Mitch won't. It's the sky is falling after anything like that. So, and you understand it. Like you understand, like I'm sitting there watching, and I mean Mitch is sitting there playing. Like you get done with it, you're like, oh god, that one hurts. But just I feel like after every loss, like everyone goes, so sky is falling. So when you're a part of the team and you watch the day ins and day outs, and you realize, hey, like what happened in practice that week, and all the little tiny things that go into every game, you kind of go to sleep with more peace knowing that like, hey, yeah, my guys got me. But then you go and sit and read Twitter and you actually have that doubt where you're like, yeah, we may go 0-15 the rest of the year. But we all trust each other, so it's really not that big of a deal.
It's just like you play at Kansas, and so like any loss at Kansas, people are gonna be like, oh, this team doesn't deserve to put on the jersey. This team doesn't deserve to play for Kansas. Yada yada yada. Like, dude, like it's one game, and don't get me wrong. I think guys on our team will get down after. I mean, obviously you don't want to lose, and you don't want to lose at all ever. But dude, it's one game. It taught us something that we need to be better at, and then we learned from it, and now we're national champions. So I think everybody that was flipping out about that can can take a chill pill and learn to
Trust Bill.
our losses and trust
Yeah,
the best
I'm a-
coach in college basketball.
Yeah, and trust Bill.
I'm always
I know there's not one
Yeah.
person in the
yeah.
maybe 100 million people that follow Kansas basketball that even knows 1/3 of what that man knows. And I thought I did coming into KU, and after the first 2 weeks, I was like, yeah, that dude's on another level.
Yeah. It's nuts.
Kentucky played out of their minds that day. Like Keon Brooks was amazing, and like no one was gonna beat him on that day. But like, what's the message like from Bill after a game like that? Is he just like credit them, or does he just call you guys soft and practice sucks ass the next day, or what was the message after the Kentucky game?
Go ahead, Chris.
Well, so I mean, the Kentucky game, he always says it every year, and it's not that it doesn't matter, but like when you play the SEC Challenge, at that point, our full focus is towards winning the Big 12. So
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, he's not happy, but the same, like he'll give you that little, you're soft, like you guys are whatever, like my teams would have never done this, like all that whole spiel that comes after almost every loss. But then at the end of it, he'll be like, hey, but in reality, that doesn't matter. If we were being on the borderline of being a 2 and a 1 seed, it would matter. But the fact that if we go and take care of business the rest of the league and we go win league and go win the tournament, we're going to be a 1 seed regardless if we lost by 1,000 points or lost by 15 or lost by 1 at home. So it's kind of like that. You walk out, you definitely get your ass ripped. You definitely feel like shit, but you come out on a note being like, okay, it's not the end of the world. That game really doesn't matter. It depends on how we play from here on. And we needed that, and I wouldn't say we deserved it, but looking back on it after what we had accomplished, we deserved it, and it helped us take that next step in the right direction.
You always know it's like the next day, walk into film, and coach goes, "How's it going, guys?" We're like all trying to fill out the vibe. I'm like, "Oh, it's good coach." Like, and he sits down. He's like, "Will the sun come up today?" Yeah.
So-
He's like, "Oh, we're gonna be all right then."
Has there ever been a day where you showed up and he was like still pissed, like not telling you, hey, sun still come up? Or is he like, what's up, Mitch? You were freaking awful last night.
I mean, there's been days like that, but like it's only when it's like and when I say self, I mean by the players of the team, like self-inflicted. Like if you like come in and like have a bad attitude to our coach, like then he can make our lives hell. Like we're like, oh, we're just gonna have film today, and then all of a sudden somebody says something and sparks it off, and like, oh no, I should like I'm doing this already. Like you want me to do that? Like, and, okay, now we're on the practice court going for a 3-hour practice at 7 o'clock. Like it's always best to just learn from your know you were wrong, know we suck, and take our lesson and learn from it and move on. But that's when we don't do that is when it always turns into a bad situation.
Yeah, and there's been plenty of film sessions you come in, and he comes in with like what Mitch said, like sun come up today, blah blah blah, and then you get to the under 4 timeout, and
the sky's
like,
falling.
yeah, you're like, oh boy. Like, I didn't watch the film last night. I feel better about it though, like replaying the game, and he'll watch it again and be like,
"You guys are horrible."
That's awful.
You kidding me?
Can you believe
What's
this?
the thing in film? Like, what's the thing that makes him the most pissed off? Is it a missed defensive assignment? Is it a missed block out? Is it like what is that thing that just gets him going?
So like it'll be transition.
Gordy.
He getting out in transition. If we miss a shot and the other team gets the ball and rebounds it and pushes it out in transition, he'll pause it and he'll see where everybody is on the court, and he goes, "Look, you're lined up with him, and him." I remember one time he did this with me with what's the guy's name from Texas, Chris? Oh,
Jericho Sims.
no, Kai Jones.
Oh, was it Kai or was it Jericho?
Kai
Either
Jones.
one.
And,
Either one.
And don't get me wrong, I'm sprinting my ass off. Like I am taking off. Like this is me like putting it like getting in gear and going. And Kai Jones just races by me. And Coach Stuff goes, "Mitch, you think this is okay? You think this is gonna win us the Big 12 championship? This guy kicks your ass. Look." And he pauses it, and we're like tied up, like running down the court, and then he unpauses it, and like maybe half a second later, and Kai Jones is like already at the other free throw line. I'm like, dude, coach, I tried. Like I'm trying. Like, and you're doing everything you can not to like you're doing like I'm trying to get back on defense, but dude, there's sometimes where you have freaks of nature out there that can really fly up and down the court. That makes
and Kai I think Kai took 3 strides. Like Mitch was like 6 strides, and Kai just took 3, and he was just like, I'm sitting there in the back almost laughing, being like, Coach, come on now, you're just busting his balls. Like, you know they had like none of us in this room, like it doesn't matter who it is, Ochai, Dave, Doak, anybody, had no shot at keeping up with that man right there.
It just so happened that it was funny how often that happened.
All right, so let's talk. Yeah, go ahead, B-Turn.
I was just gonna talk about what?
No, go ahead.
I was gonna talk about the other fun regular season game that year was in Manhattan when Nigel had I think he had 100 points in the first half, was like 12 for 12. And I think I don't know, you guys. I don't think you guys played that hard in the first half. But what was the what was the message at halftime, and how motivated were you guys to just come out pissed off and outplay K-State in the second half?
Well, Mitch, you want to tell the tunnel story? Or you want me to tell the tunnel story?
I got it. I mean, you can keep piggyback off it. We were running. We were down. What was it? 16 at half. Going back into the locker room, and they have their tunnel there, and both teams run to the same tunnel, and it's always K-State's Super Bowl whenever we come to town. So we know how that is. They had their whole football team there because they were going to present them at halftime. I think what bowl they won a bowl, so I think they were going to present that to them. And their whole football team's like flipping us the bird as we were running into the locker room.
Shut up.
So we were running by them. We're like, all right, bet. Like, good. I like that energy. Keep the same energy for the second half. So we were able to go out there, and I know all the guys on our team took that personally. And Coach's halftime speech really wasn't he didn't really jump us or anything. Like he understood that, hey, we got to do stuff better. Like we weren't rebounding the ball like we should. We weren't defending like we should. That's for sure. And I think DeJuan took that personally in the second half. And then you saw how we offensively rebounded the ball, and it was able to give us a good chance to win. So I think I would say shout out to the Kansas State football team for giving us the extra motivation we needed to get the win. And winning in Manhattan is something we enjoy.
Yeah, and I'll piggyback off of that. So when you go into halftime, obviously you run in, and then the coaches go to their little coaches' locker room. And there's probably halftime's 20 minutes? Usually, so the coaches don't come in until probably 12 minutes. You have 8 minutes where it's just the players. Yeah. And so, we come in and everybody gets in there, and we're just like, yo. They're trying to clown us. So it had a little players, not like a players meeting, but it was kind of being like, yo, don't let them think that they have this thing won. They think that they won. They think the game's over. It's far from over. It's a long game. And Coach came in. I mean, Mitch said it wasn't terrible. He did throw a little thing. He was a little bit angry at us, but it wasn't one of the worst ones. I think he kind of saw when he walked in, the look in all of us eyes, where we were pissed off. And it wasn't we were pissed off at each other. We were determined, being whatever we saw coming in or whatever happened in that first half, actually it turned us to a new level where we were locked in and ready to play.
100%.
And so obviously, you guys go on, you completely just bully them in the second half. You go on to win. And then in one of my favorite moments, me and you talked about this last time, Chris, when that buzzer goes off and you guys you kind of led the way, you guys come off that bench and you just wave in the most sarcastic way to the student section. Did that just happen? I can't even remember what you said. Did that happen organically? Was that something you planned, or did it just happen?
Well, I mean, you at a Bramlage, they have the student sections on the side right there, up the side of the arena. I think it kind of whips around. So we're looking right at the student section. We said, the whole stadium thought the game was over. Football players, student section, everyone there thought the game was over. So they're sitting there. I don't know if they're waving goodbye, but they're chirping the bench and telling all of us to sit down and all this kind of stuff. And they were waving us goodbye with 10 minutes left in the second half, because I don't think we went on our initial full run where we came back until the under 8. And so we all came off the bench, and everyone who was watching just came off. And I didn't even notice anybody else did it. Like everybody just had their hand up, doing like the sarcastic, like almost like the Queen wave. We were going like this. We were just like, yeah, bye.
It was so mean. Like those, you guys obviously weren't watching on TV, but like the shots of the crowd just so sad and just stunned as you guys are just waving in their face. So just so perfect. And like you guys, I mean, we've had Tyshawn on, we've had Sharon on, and the stories they tell us about what K-State fans have said to them, done to them, hotel pranks, prank calls, like it's never endless. So to go in and just, I mean, KU beats them a lot, but to beat them in that fashion, like it just made it so much sweeter.
It was like
just funnier.
You almost had it. Like you gotta be quicker than that. You almost had it.
Yeah, we almost just gave it to you. We almost
Yeah.
gave it to you. We decided, you know what? We didn't want you to have it, so we decided to take it
And
back.
it's always so fun whenever like you see the other fans streaming out of their arena like right before the game's over. Like, yeah, haha, see you later. Like, hope you get to your car. There's some traffic. You might want to get out there early. Like, that's always the best part. And everyone always complains like, oh, you guys act like it's a rivalry when you say it shouldn't be a rivalry. Are we supposed to have a rivalry or not? Like, dude, you're Kansas State. We're Kansas. Like, we're supposed to. It's a rivalry.
Yeah.
I mean, like, dude, like, get over yourself.
It's exhausting.
Get over yourself.
Don't be front runners, and maybe we won't have to do that to you.
Win a
Did
championship. Win a championship, and then you can argue.
Did the barnstorming tour go to Manhattan?
No, it should have. Honestly,
Can you imagine?
dude, it would have been crazy.
What tweet? You threw up a tweet, Mitch, that got everyone was all fired up. What did you tweet? It was
That was
it
what
was
he-
a joke
yeah.
about going.
Unfortunately, we didn't have a stop in Manhattan. Somebody said something about what did they say?
They said something about they'd be like, yeah, it'd be like the Yankees winning and going to the Reds and going to Boston and have a celebration.
And I replied back, I was like, that would not be like that. Both of those teams have titles.
Yeah,
that
was it. That was so.
I was just like,
I
dude,
even
whenever I tweet, it's almost like you like look at the replies and you like cherry pick the easiest one to just absolutely tee off on.
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
And with K-State, with K-State, it's easier than others. So like you can look at the replies back and just absolutely send it home on someone.
And they come out of the woodworks for nothing. Like I'll tweet, like you'll tweet something about like LeBron or like football or something random, and like they'll still find a way to get in your mentions and throw like some kind of jab. And so when you get an opportunity like Mitch had to tee off, it's like, yeah, you try to drive the grain of a par 4 right there.
Ruh-roh.
Dude, I had like a K-State buddy reach out and be like, I'm trying so hard to be mad at Mitch right now, but that was so good. Like I can't even, like it was such a perfect dig at those dudes after that comment that it was just, it silenced them. It was over. The game was over at that point.
Everybody was going to the parking lot.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk. We got to talk about it. It was the biggest storyline all year. You mentioned it a little bit earlier, but like the Remy saga, like it was one of the weirder, crazier storylines, some of which I think was brought on by fake stories, fake rumors. I guess I'll start with you, Chris. Like what, as a person on the team watching, you're on Twitter, but you're also like, you're in it, you're living the real life, you're on the team. Like how did you view the Remy situation? Did you ever feel there was any truth to the tension that people were saying was up with Bill and Remy, or that Remy was never going to return, or that it just wasn't a fit? Like, I don't know. How did you perceive that whole situation?
So, I was locker buddies with Remy. So my locker was right here. You don't have like dividers in your lockers. Like you have someone there, like you're sitting almost shoulder to shoulder with them in the locker room. And I talked to him every single day, and me and him were decent, like good buds. And we would talk about everything. He always came to me and asked about like, hey, what do I do about Coach Self? Like, and all this other kind of stuff. Like just asking a guy who'd been here for so long and who was knowledgeable about things. I remember, I don't remember what day it was or whatever. Like I went home and it was after his knee injury, and I could tell he was hurt. Like his knee was swollen. Every time I'd see it, it looked like a golf, like it looked like almost like a softball. So you feel for the guy like that. We're like, dude, this is last year, and he's sitting there being whatever. And you see a tweet like that, and it's like it couldn't be more further from the truth. This man talked about the whole time, like, hey, I'm just here to win a national championship. If I can do whatever I need to do to win a natty, like I will. he told me multiple times, like, I'll play 5 minutes and shoot 2 shots a game if it means that we can go to the Final Four and win. Like, I just want to help this team win. I love Kansas. I love the tradition. Like, that's the whole reason I came here. After playing in Allen my freshman year, I knew I wanted to end up here somehow. Didn't think it would ever work that way. But he was nothing but bought in and locked into everything. And him and Coach Self, I thought, had a great relationship. Just honestly looking at the tweets and stuff, it kind of was like you get taken back by it. We're like, is this true?
Yeah.
Like, am I not seeing something? Like, am I being lied to? You see someone, the blue check or whoever it was tweeting it, you're kind of like, well, there may be a little truth to it. It's like, but I'm in it.
Yeah.
And I know I know more. Like, I know more. It kind of makes you doubt yourself. But everyone as a team loved Remy, and we never had anything negative to say about him. And
He's a real guy's guy, too.
18,
Like,
yeah.
he's a super guy's guy. Like, he always wanted to hang out with us, wanted to do things as a team. Like, hey, let's go do this, let's go do that. Like I just want to hang out with the boys. Like, let's have some fun. Like, it was super fun to be able to like interact with him and to see people say stuff they did about him, how he doesn't like care about this team or he doesn't care about Kansas or has a beef with Coach. Like, it just couldn't be further from the truth. And I think you saw Coach defended him as well. Like, hey, he wants the guy to be healthy, and he wants to see the guy at his best. And obviously, you saw that in March, and he, some could argue, was the reason that we were able to get over the hump and win it. So I think Remy was committed to all the right things, and he wanted to do it all for the right reasons, and it showed. And everybody on our team couldn't love him anymore, and he's truly one of the good guys out there.
Bill talked about how he told him wait till March. Was he really saying that all year? And what were you guys thinking after he said that?
I don't know if I told Mitch that. I think it was Mitch and Ochai I told this, but I seriously told him, I think Remy may be the only player I've ever met in my life that can turn it off and turn it on. Like, if he needs to turn it on for 2 possessions, like, he can turn it on for 2 possessions and hit both those shots, or like make 2 steals and then turn it off, or like whatever. So when he said wait till March, like, I full-heartedly believed him, where I was like, yeah, like he probably can just turn it on and be like that. So I never really had a problem with him saying that.
Oh, 100%. Remy's like, he's just so like, his energy is so different, and he plays with such speed and such passion that like rubs off on the rest of the team. And it's almost like even having him out there, if he makes a couple plays that are bad plays, like, he's going to play with such fire that it brings the rest of the team up. So I think we all recognize that, and we all benefited from it.
And a good way to describe him is like almost a Tyreek Hill of Kansas basketball.
Oh, for sure.
But just the fact that he's out there doing like whatever it is, like just being like this little ball of energy, like it helps.
Demands respect.
Yeah, like it demands respect, and regardless of what happens, he's bringing energy. Like you love to play with that guy.
Dude, he could get Allen Fieldhouse so fired up over like the most little thing. Like, it would be just a random deflection or something, and he'd go nuts, and he'd get the whole crowd going in like a 22-point game in the middle of December. Like, that's what always cracked me up about him.
I remember the Tech game on Big Monday when it went to double OT. He had a little span there where he played super well, and the Fieldhouse was juiced.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and they loved him. The Stephen F game was one of them too, where like we're in a game. We shouldn't be as close as this. They played out of their minds. And Remy hit that 3, and he was like, I don't know if he was pointing at the bench or whatever, but it's in all the intro videos. He was going absolutely insane for like a November 31st game.
I mean,
that's the energy you love with Rem. Like, he'd do it in practice.
Remergy, baby.
If you're playing pickup, he do the same thing. He'll make a big bucket and just start going nuts like it's 16,000, and then you're like,
we're like, dude. There's 13 of us in here. It's summer.
I know. It felt like every shot he hit in the tournament, he was yelling something at Bill. It was almost, I don't know what it was, but every time he's just pointing at the bench, and it looks like it's at Bill.
I got you, Coach. Like
like,
I got you. Like,
yeah,
don't worry, I got this. Like, I got you type thing. Not like I'm yelling at you. Like, more of like I'm watching out.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do what you need me to do type thing.
Yeah. All right. So I think we've covered most of regular season. I want to get into a little more postseason. Let's talk the really fun stuff, the North Carolina game, Villanova game. But I want to talk about that Villanova game a little more. You obviously, Chris, you said it was written. That was the theme. You knew it was written. You two had that thing going. But, like, how much – obviously not a lot of the guys that were still there played in that 2018 game. But, like, obviously it was a pretty – I mean, they whooped us in 2018, just point blank. Like,
Didn't miss a shot.
But, like, yeah, like, what – was revenge that big of a thing for you guys? Like, was that something you cared about, or was it more just like, hey, they're in our way to win? Obviously, they're in our way to win the national title, but, like, was there an element of, like, not only do we want to win this game, but we want to, like, blow them out to kind of get revenge for that 2018 team?
I wouldn't say it was strictly revenge. I mean, we obviously knew that what had happened, and people were upset. Coach Self made a point of it. Me and Mitch made a point of it. But I thought it was more of like, hey, no one's talking about us.
Yeah.
That it was like, hey, we're going to go in here. We're going to play hard. We're going to get off to a hot start. And after, I mean, we were just focusing on winning a game. You're not sitting there focusing on blowing people out of the water, doing this and that. But you watch Ochai hit those first 3 threes or whatever he did after struggling the whole tournament. It's hard not to get fired up. That's the heart and soul of our team. Like, that's our guy. And so after that, I think it was more of like personal, where it was like, yeah, let's actually blow these dudes out of the water, and let's see how much we can get.
Early we talked about how tough the fan base was on Dave just throughout his career. Like, how happy did that make you guys seeing him play like that in New Orleans? Because he was just unbelievable in both games.
You love to see that. I mean, and we always had trust in Dave. Everyone asks, just like, obviously you go into restaurants and they would ask, like, so what's up with Dave and this and that? And you're like, well, that's our guy. So you're never going to say anything bad about him. But at the same time, you know that you don't win a national championship without that. That's something that no one can guard. When Dave was on, he may have been the most unstoppable force in the country. I didn't see a big that could hang with him on the offensive end. When he was getting angles and hitting his hook shots and doing this and that and hitting his mid, like, there was no one there. So just being able to almost get that satisfaction of telling people that and them not believing you, and then them being like, yeah, hey, he's about to win us a national championship. That felt good for me, and also made me like, yeah, that's the boy. He's gone through so much. That's the most mentally strong dude I've ever met, considering what he went through this whole year from the whole fan base. There are people that really fans of you. And so that's always something you go to bed and you're kind of like, you think about it before you go to sleep, and you smile about, like, okay, yeah, he deserves every ounce of that.
Yeah.
All right.
Back off of that. I think with Dave, like, allowing him, like, my whole job was like to give him some rest in between him, because he had to be healthy. He was going through some stuff, and allowing him to get rest and to not have to play 40 minutes a game was something that I was determined to do. I think in March, Coach Self did a good job of allowing him to rest up in the beginning of it, and we had KJ that stepped out there, and Zach stepped out there and gave him more time to rest. And I think that us being able to do that allowed for him to be as fresh as possible. And then when he's fresh, hard to stop. Like, offensively, is like Chris said, like, mid ranges, shooting jump hooks from the free throw line. Like, I know there's a couple of those in March Madness where everybody was like, no, yes, great shot. But I've seen him do that all the time in practice, and I think it was special to see him play so well, and for him to potentially end his career being at KU, being a national champion, and everyone's going to remember him for being, hey, this guy hit the shot to essentially seal a national championship for Kansas, and
it's crazy.
And I think that's the most poetic justice ever, being able for that to be his story, and the way that, if he wants to, the way that he can go out.
And especially everyone's talking now, being like, hey, his number may be up in the rafters. I would love.
He was robbed.
Yeah, I would love just to see people every time they walk into Allen, everybody who hated on him and tweeted about him, like, literally religiously, regardless if he played a good game or bad, have to look at that every time they came in Allen. Yeah, I'm sure.
It is crazy.
Poetic.
That'd feel good for him. I'm sure that'd feel great for him.
It is crazy. Go ahead.
Sorry, I wanted to circle back just like to the beginning of March. Just, you guys go to KC. Remy's unbelievable. Mitch, you played, I think it was TCU. Maybe I'm wrong. First game in KC, you played awesome. Did you guys kind of feel something special coming on after the Big 12 tournament in Kansas City?
I think once we got on that roll, I mean, after we lost to TCU at TCU, I think what did we do? Run off 11 in a row? Like, after that, like,
Yeah.
that was another moment on Twitter or on social media. You think the sky is falling, everything is going wrong that can go wrong, and I mean, now granted, we had some pretty damn close games, and we played with the heartstrings of many a Jayhawk fan, but we ended up getting those games done, winning those games, getting a piece of the Big 12, winning the Big 12 tournament, kind of solidifying, hey, we are the best team in the Big 12, and then going out and proving we're the best team in the nation. So I think from that point on, we were pretty locked in on being a cohesive unit. And I've said this before, and I've been quoted saying it. This is the closest team I've been a part of. Everybody on this team is there's no cliques, there's no groups. This is one big team, and everybody here can go talk to anybody on this team, and we'll know that, hey, that's my brother, got his back no matter what. And I think that just showed late in the season. And when you need to have your best ball being played, it's easy to do that when the guys trust each other.
All right, so let's get in national title game. Well, first I gotta ask. Like we talked how you guys were not the main storyline, and for like me, I like to make fun of Coach K. I like when Coach K loses, but I didn't know what I wanted. Like I wanted Coach K to lose in North Carolina, but I also was like, can you imagine if we can end Coach K in the national title? Like it would have been incredible. But like. And I know the obvious answer is, we didn't care who we played. But, like, did you have a sense of which way you wanted that game to go? Or did it truly not matter? If you want to give that answer, that's okay, too.
That game truly didn't matter. Because at that point, you're like, hey, ideally, I'm in the same boat as you. I like Coach K, but I wasn't the biggest fan of him. So, obviously, you obviously would like that. But at the same time, it's like, dude, I don't care who we beat. We could have beat UMCB, whoever in the national championship, and it would have meant just as much to me. But yeah, you watch that game, and yeah, it would have been poetic to go out on top, especially with him being like what he is, the NCAA, and us being what we are, especially after the last 4 or 5 years. It would have been nice to do that, but hey, we won a national championship, and I think people were just as pissed off whether we beat Duke or North Carolina or whoever. So I love it regardless.
Mitch, tell the story about Norm in the locker room telling which game was it where he was comparing you guys to Duke? You were telling it before we started.
Oh my gosh, that was back. I think Chris, your freshman year when we played. Was it your freshman year we played Duke?
That was our junior year. My junior year, that was when you were redshirt when we was Doak in New York or whatever.
Yeah, he goes around the locker room and goes, "They didn't recruit you. They didn't recruit you. They didn't recruit you." And like, because he's trying to prove like, hey, they don't want any of you guys. You guys are not good enough for them. Like, go out there and prove it that you're good enough. He gets to Dave. He goes, "They didn't recruit you." And Dave goes, "Yeah, they recruited me." Like, oh, well, they didn't recruit you. They didn't recruit you. That was the story I was telling, but it's pretty funny. I think Coach Rob has the best pregame speeches. You saw Coach Self was in New York accepting, is it called the Wingfoot Award, or I forget the formal name of it, but it's the head coach of the women's college basketball national championship team and the men's college basketball national championship team. And Coach Rob was giving the speech for Coach Self, and I could have sworn he was going to start yelling at the coaches in attendance like a pregame speech. So I kept watching it, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, he's really gonna start getting on these people." But no, he did a great job, and it's something funny. I'll always know Coach Rob for it. That he's a motivator. He knows how to motivate, and it's special.
So I got you off the rails. Did you have more to add on like that Duke North Carolina thing, wanting to play one versus the other?
I mean, I think I kind of wanted to play Duke. Not gonna lie. I mean, you have Coach K. It's his last year. I think it would have been a fun match. I mean, I think a lot of people I saw on Twitter were like, "Oh, if you play against Duke, it's going to be 8-on-5." Like, I don't know how much I buy into that.
Yeah.
I don't know how much I buy into that. I think truly refs are there and they're to do their job, do it the right way. But But if you lose, people are going to blame it on that.
Yeah.
So what? I mean, but we went out there, had the ability to play North Carolina, who's another blue blood, and I think it was special that we were able to win. I think the atmosphere there was so great between the four blue bloods that were there. I mean, just so many people, so many people that weren't at the game. Like people think like, oh, everybody in New Orleans went to the game. No, there's hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of people there in New Orleans for the Final Four that don't go to the game, that are around the hotel, that are around Bourbon Street. Chris can attest to how many people were on Bourbon Street the night after the win. But I think it was just it was a zoo. Everyone was so excited. It was so much energy, and it was so much fun.
Yeah, so first half of the Natty, it's obviously back and forth for the first 12, 13, 14 minutes, and then you guys struggle to score. UNC goes on a little run. They're up 40-25 at half. I wanted to know like how you two personally felt at half, and then talk about Dave actually laughing in the locker room at halftime.
From my point of view, I know CB had said this in the post-game speech. Dave walked in, is laughing. And we're like, dude, why the hell are you laughing? We're down 15 in a national championship game. Things are not going good. And he's like, oh, we've been here before. And CB's like, oh, you've been down 15 in a national championship game before? I guess my first. But we're all sitting there like, and he's like, nah, like we down to K-State, and we saw them be down to Baylor we saw Baylor be down to them by 29. Like Baylor proved they can do it, and we beat Baylor this year, so why don't we go do it? And so, which is a good point. I mean, we have seen that, and I think that's kind of a testament to see why we won. The blueprint was there on how to do it. And then Coach Self came in the locker room and gave us a good speech, talked to us game plan wise, and then ended it with, hey, would you rather be down 9 with 2.5 minutes to go, or would you rather be down 15 with 20 minutes to go? I think everybody on the team opted to be down 15 with 20 minutes to go, and we were able to go out there and get it right, fix what we needed to fix, make some shots, make some easy layups. We missed a bunch of easy layups in that first half, and I think DeJuan kind of kicked off defensively how we needed to play, and then whenever you see DeJuan play like that, it's, hey, we got this. Like if he's going to play like that, it's going to give us a great opportunity to be victorious.
Yeah. What did you think of the play call out of halftime to throw the lob to Dave? Like, did you think it was kind of risky? Wasn't it Case that drew that up and said to go with it?
Out of halftime, I don't remember who called it.
We ran
54.
Yeah, I said we ran 54. Yeah.
But I don't remember who called it, because they always talk about the play to run out of half in the coach's locker room, so we don't get to hear it. I mean, they just walk out and tell us that we're going to run out of half. So, but yeah, it worked. That play's hard to guard. If depending on how the other team's guarding, it's easier to get a lob set up. So I think that kind of set the energy going into the rest of the half. Okay, we're not going away. You're up big, but watch this. And then a couple minutes later, it's a 2-point game. So
yeah,
it's just a testament to how good of a coach Coach Self is. He made a 50-point deficit in a national championship game feel like, hey, we're playing K-State and Bramlage. This is easy. Let's go win.
So Chris, I think I asked you this last time, but we are obsessed with this sequence on this podcast. We've talked about it so many times, but the moment where Remy hits the 3 in the corner, and then DeJuan picks Caleb Love's pocket, gives it to Jalen for the and 1, and all of a sudden we go from tied to up 6. I think it's like the most nuts I've gone over a basketball play in a long time, since like as I was a child. Is that like one of the more banana moments for you on the bench that you can remember at KU? Just like what an all-time sequence that I'll like tell my grandchildren about.
Oh yeah, I mean 1,000%. Because I mean we're sitting there down 15, and especially in games like that, you go on those low runs, and then you can tell how the game's going to go on the next couple plays. When you get tied, if they go and they hit back-to-back threes, you know, like, hey, maybe it's not our day. But like you sit there and you watch Remy hit that step back 3 or whatever it is in the corner where he's sitting there calling for it, and he looks at us and starts going nuts. So I'm already out of my seat and we're obviously on like the low, like underneath the court, and Juan makes that pick or whatever, and Jalen gets the and one, and I mean, yeah, there's no emotion to even feel, because that's when you're like, yeah, this game really can be ours. And I mean, you can see me I get up on the thing and like I'm going absolutely psychotic. But yeah, I mean, and everything like that in that last game means a lot to me. I was wearing my emotions on a sleeve. That's my last one, and obviously I didn't have a ton of control over what goes on, but I trusted all my guys, and the fact that they're sitting there and showing me the reason why I trust them, like, there's no better feeling in the world. There's like the emotions from that night will never be reached again. And especially in those little sequences like that, you have a hard time even staying sane almost. You almost just want to like get to the end of the game. You're sitting there like almost itching yourself and being like, okay, let's just get done with this and let's get out.
I would say like to piggyback off of that, like in those moments, like over like course of like what could have been your last game, like for Chris and I, like playing at KU, like we had a lot of laughs and did it a bunch of times, but this year especially, this is gonna be the last one. There's no eligibility left to find. Like I think my moment was we were playing Creighton and we were down. I don't remember when we were down, but we were down a couple points. I think it was 3 or 4, and I was like looking around, like, is this how it ends? Like, is this how my college career comes to an end? And to have almost the exact opposite moment of that when Remy hits that shot and then DeJuan picks the pocket and gives it to Jay Will for the AM one is like the absolute opposite moment. Like, wow, this is how my career ends. This is dope. Like, this is awesome. Imagine that. We win a national championship. It's like, it's just like you go from against Creighton thinking like, oh damn, this is how it ends. Like, this is where it ends. Like, wow, like we're in Fort Worth. Like, damn. And then you're sitting in New Orleans on April 1st. Like, Remy hits a big shot. DeJuan picks the pocket. We get a layup. We're going to be national champions in your last year of college. Yeah. How many people get to end their careers on a win? Pretty unreal and pretty special.
Yeah. It's how, like, just from you guys just watching from the bench, like, how stressful is the last 5-6 minutes of that game? Because, like, as a fan, I'm sitting there like my heart's pumping. There's like 10 different instances where I'm saying the game's over, we lost. Like Brady Manick gets the tip back to go ahead, and then Remy hits 2 huge threes. Dave hits 2 huge hooks. Like, how fun is that last 5 minutes, and how stressful too?
I mean, so during those close games, especially in the tournament and big games, I would really get out of the games and be sick. For the fact that like I'm so like stressed and turned up, and knowing that like I couldn't do any better, and if they did tell me, I wouldn't do any better. So I'm just pretty much at the mercy of those guys, and it means a ton to me. It's like, yeah, you get so worked up, and the emotions during those games, like you have to almost come down from it. Like you have to like get in the bus after the game, win or lose, like just calm yourself down. That's kind of how I felt in that national championship game, except for you went natty, so you don't come on the down, you just straight go right back up.
Just ride it off off into history, baby.
Straight to Bourbon Street.
Straight to Bourbon
Street. No, Chris rode that thing all the way back to Lawrence.
Yeah. All right, so we'll try and wrap up here in a second, but there was one more thing I wanted to talk about with the national championship game, because Mitch, I've gone back and I've watched it, and like that after the final possession, you get the stop. We stop Caleb. He comes up short. Everyone runs on the court. Somehow you and Bill just find each other and give each other like the biggest hug of all time. Like, did you seek him out? Were you like, I gotta find Bill, or was it just like, whoever I find, I'm hugging, and it just happened to be Bill? Like, I felt like that was a perfect moment.
I don't know. I kind of ran. Like, I was just running onto the court, and like Coach Shelf just opened his arms. I was like, "Oh, hey, Coach! Like this is amazing!" And he like gave me a hug. He was like so proud of you, so excited for you. And I kept telling him, I was like, "Hey, you're the GOAT. Like, you're the GOAT. Don't forget it. You're the GOAT." And that was a special moment. And I was so happy for him. He's been through so much this year, and losing his father. And I know it means a lot to us to be able to give him something that he's been working so dang hard for his entire career. And it's national championships are so special, and for him to get his second, how many people in history have 2 national championships? And it was just so special for us getting to see
Yeah.
him kind of come to the realization that, hey, we won another national championship, and all of us love
Yeah.
Coach Self to death, and we want nothing but the best for him, and
Mm-hmm.
that was just a special moment.
Yeah, and that's what else I wanted to talk about with you guys. It's like, Mitch, you were somehow still here in 2017, and that team was incredible. Frank, Josh, Devontae, and then 18 was amazing. 20 was maybe one of the best KU teams ever, like especially defensively. I think that team easily could have won it all. They were going to be the number 1 overall seed. It's like, it's obviously super rewarding for everyone, but like, how rewarding did that feel for you guys to win it in 2022, just because you guys are on so many good teams?
You want to go, Chris, or you want me to get it?
I mean, I'll go first. I'll be short. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've been a Kansas fan for all my life, and I sit there and look at my perfect time at Kansas, and there's a lot of things that obviously you go through, and there's a lot of things that I wish I would have done, but you win a national championship, and if you're a Kansas fan and you've been around Kansas enough, you know how much that means to everybody. And so just like being here for 5 years and being on the 2018 where you get there, and then being on a 2019 team where you lose the streak, and then coming back in 2020 and having the best team in the country by far, and then getting that canceled by COVID. We went through our trials, we went through our tribulations and all that kind of stuff, and every valley became even further down, almost into like a canyon. You go back up to the top of the hill and go back down, and I was just ready to reach a mountain. And so the fact that we got to do it in our last year, and I can ride off in the sunset on that, it meant a lot. And I mean, yeah, Mitch is sitting there grinning like a dude. Like,
That was
dude,
beautiful.
Yeah, you
was
sat
Hey,
there.
geography
So
lessons
much
with Chris
shit.
Teahan. Hell yeah, baby.
He said he was going to keep it short.
He said we're going down to valleys and up to mountains, and we're going to find a plateau and head down the peninsula.
Chill out, dog.
Oh, all right. Well, I don't know. We should probably let these guys go. They've now given us like 2.5 hours of their time combined with this and the time at Rick's. But B-Turn, you got any final questions? You always have something else left. So you got anything else you just got to hear?
I mean, I could have these guys for another hour. Like,
Yeah,
they were here. Like, we have 10 years worth of stories for Mitch.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, Chris was here. Yeah, did the old, like, being old joke or being at KU forever get old? I feel like Perry was kind of sensitive with it at first.
I mean,
And then he
it
kinda-
was bad with Perry. I was here for like 1.5 times the amount of time Perry was here. Like, people kept saying things like, damn, your hairline's gone back from your freshman year. I'm like, dude, like, come on now. Like, give me a break. I'm trying to get an NIL deal with freaking wherever it is, grow that thing back. But
Your hairline hasn't gone anywhere. That's just how it was.
Thanks, Chris. That makes me feel good.
Best friends.
But no, it's been good. I mean, everyone tells you stay in college as long as you can. I mean, I got a doctor's degree or a doctorate in how to go to college. So if anybody needs any help, I'm your guy.
Man, they had the good Twitter. They had the good Twitter stuff when they said the stuff about you being there for so long. What was that little thread about? Like, Mitch Lightfoot's first game was with James Naismith, and then like,
Oh yeah,
there was a really good thread that both of us had a good time with.
Yeah.
I think Chris had a
Those
better time
jokes,
than I did.
they're overblown, but they're also just like, you always chuckle. You got to chuckle a little bit every time. But in all seriousness, though, like, what are kind of your guys' next moves? I think, Chris, you said you haven't picked up a basketball in forever. I don't know what's kind of your next step, and then Mitch, you go after him.
I'm gonna move to Kansas City. I'm currently looking for jobs. Just some kind of salesperson between medical device, pharmaceutical device, being a financial advisor, or pharmaceutical sales. Those are the 4 really I'm looking into. But I'm gonna stay in KC, enjoy my time, be with my family. I haven't been with my extended family, and my brothers and sisters are all having kids. I'm getting a bunch of nieces and nephews, so I'm just trying to enjoy my time with them and kind of be ready to go back to a somewhat normal life.
Yeah.
Wow, Chris, really touching.
Thanks.
For me, I want to continue to play ball, but after ball, I would like to stay around sports or basketball and be in coaching. And I'd talk to Coach about how he got into it and learn from his experience. And I think the whole story from him and the rest of the coaches was, hey, play until you can't anymore. You never want to turn around and be 10 years down the line and be like, hey, I wish I could have gone back and done that. So I've still got basketball in my legs. I've got basketball in my heart. Want to continue to do it. So going to chase it as long as I can. And I think the beautiful part about Kansas is I've been able to get a bachelor's degree in economics and a master's in sports management, and set myself up with some great connections to some great people around the Kansas City and Lawrence area. I mean, even around the nation, there's KU people everywhere. Such an amazing support system, and I'm not too worried about what the next step is, just because of the fact that I've got those connections.
Yeah,
we know you're going to replace Greg Gurley in the Alumni Association. We already know that's happening in like 15 years, so whatever. Or on radio,
Dude,
either
15,
way.
That's 15 years from now. I got to get there somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, boys.
I just wanted to say, like, to me, like, you guys really are KU legends. Like, I remember CB tweeting about Mitch this year, like when Mitch was out shoveling snow and shit. Like, I forget exactly what he said, but like, just appreciate Mitch while he's here. And then, I mean, you guys are just great ambassadors to Kansas, like in general, and you guys are diehard fans, like just growing up. So it's like everyone can just tell your love for the university. It's just, I guess, I appreciate you guys coming on, and I really think you guys are KU legends.
My God, I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody that works with the podcast, and I definitely have been listening, and I'm gonna continue to listen.
Yep.
Yeah, hey, appreciate it. I've been a Kansas fan for all my life, so hearing anybody say that, it really to me gives me goosebumps. And so I appreciate that, and I appreciate everyone who's made this journey so much fun. The Ain't No Seeds podcast is obviously, I mean, I listened to it last year during quarantine. I remember driving to Austin, Texas 2 years during quarantine, sitting there listening to Ain't No Seeds over and over and over again, listening to all the episodes, catching up. So it's an honor to be on here, and I'm glad that you guys were able to have us, and that we're be able to be a part of a great Kansas year.
Yeah.
All right. Well, before we all start shedding a tear and crying on here, let's wrap this up. But that's it. Thank you all for listening. Glad we could finally get you this episode. Shout out to Mitch and Chris. We'll be back again soon, and that's it. Rock Chalk.
Hey, Rock Chalk, baby.
Rock Chalk.
Natty Champs.
Natty Champs, Dougie.